to the Dignity Dialogue with your host, Joe Kiedinger.
Hi, everyone. I'm Joe Kiedinger. This is another Dignity Dialogue. I am with April Strom Johnson. Say hello, April.
Hello, April.
Yeah,
I couldn't resist.
That's
It's
so
so
vaudeville.
cheesy.
It's so vaudeville. Hey, folks, so we're on the Dignity Dialogue. If you've been tuning in the past, we've always had guests, and we're doing a new idea where we're going to unpack series of topics. And so every month we're going to have a series. Instead of monthly with a guest, we're going to have weekly podcasts now. Hey, we're green and growing.
I know.
And so you'll hear about a series, and then we will have a guest at the end of every month. And so, April, we are kicking off a new series. So why don't you tell everyone what this series is and then what our topic is for today.
All right. Well, today I'm going to use my notes today as I'm looking at it. I'm excited about our new series, and we have a great team here at Dignify. And they go out and they research and they pull all kinds of great information for us. And so they did that once again. And so our new series is Making Tough Decisions with Integrity in Leadership. Ooh. Yeah, it's good. It's good.
Integrity, man. That's like a broad word that can be not misinterpreted, but it can be, what do you call it? Everyone might have their own definition of it.
It could be a little misunderstood from time to time.
How would you define integrity?
I'm just going to look here. We've got the definition of integrity in the context of leadership is really about being morally trustworthy, honest, true to oneself, and or acting in accordance with what one says. I know, I really like that. Being morally trustworthy, honest, true to oneself, and or acting in accordance with what one says. And, integrity is really the cornerstone of effective leadership.
Well, it's doing what you say you're going to do, showing that you're a plow horse, not a show horse.
Yeah.
Right? Putting your actions with your words.
For sure.
So I think, you read the technical definition with leadership, but I think the boiling it down, it comes down to do what you say you're going to do and show up.
Well, and do it honestly, and do it as you are. You don't have to paint a different picture around things. And let's face it, in the workplace today, it is not all rainbows and lollipops.
No.
Right? And so particularly when you hit challenging times, tough times as companies, tough times as families, tough times, period.
Yeah.
Right? Can we still have our integrity?
For sure.
Right?
Yeah, and we did a podcast on grit. Remember we committed last month this topic to grit. I think integrity is very gritty too.
Yeah.
Right? To be true to who you are, with coming up with tough decisions. It's like Lombardi said, okay? Being in Green Bay, we're big Lombardi people. But he said, gentlemen, you may not like me, and I don't have to like you, but we will create excellence together. I will make you the best players to ever play in your position. And at the end of the day, you will love me, and I will love you, and my love will be relentless.
Yes.
Right? I think that's integrity.
It is integrity.
Right? So I'm going to love you so hard because I care about you, and I'm going to push the envelope. And that goes in these tough conversations.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? How do you have tough conversations in a space, in a society where maybe we've been taught to avoid conflict? There's a lot of uncertainty. There's indecision, especially during the COVID years.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But that's not going to change. Maybe we don't have a COVID situation, but there is uncertainty. There are these topics. How do you push through that?
Mm-hmm. And the COVID thing is, I know as I was looking through some of the research and the data that came through from our team, and was just looking at it, I was reminded of COVID. And COVID was one of those times, I think, in history when, as a whole, when we're talking about business and leadership, we were all faced with the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm kind of putting Joe, I'm kind of putting you on the spot here
Go for
a little
it.
bit. But even for us as a company, right? We were faced with hard decisions, with choices that you and Danica had to make around the company when COVID hit. And so I would love if you could just maybe share how this element of integrity and an example of that from that season for you guys as owners, what that was like for you guys to have to make some tough decisions.
Well, I think the biggest challenge, which messed up, I think everyone was a little messed up. Let's be honest with that whole situation, right? But when I look about integrity and as I reflected on it, our position as owners was not this paranoia, over it. Okay, that was not our space around it. However, if now that it's all over and you look back and you see, behaviors and you're reflecting on it, right? Hindsight's 2020, right? What it created with people, not just in our organization, but you heard about in other organizations, is it created a bit of a hypocritical mindset, right? So we all have to be distanced. We all have to do this. We all have to do that. And then on Facebook, you see, someone was in a limousine with a bunch of people at a wedding. You know what I mean? And they're from all over the state, or they're from all over this, all over that. And I thought, we don't, again, I'm all about keeping honest people honest, right? It challenged our integrity. Because to say I can't go to work or I can't be with people or we're going to have to distance, and then all that happens, it means that you really don't believe that, right? As a person,
Sure.
You're willing to make the exception with these people versus that people, those people. So I think the integrity of the situation, because our brains were so messed up, seriously, was just the narrative, right? And the reality, people were dying for sure. It was really a neat, kind of like an experiment on the human condition when it came to integrity.
Yeah.
Because you'd be, even my own family would be hypocritical if I can't do this, but I'm lonely, so I want to be with you now. But wait a minute, I thought I couldn't even enter your house before, right? So it just kind of got really crazy, and that's where I think integrity can really step in and be the solver of reality, right? Like just saying, hey, we're not going to allow that to, whether it's that was an extreme situation, but we're not going to create stories that would diminish our integrity, right? And now on a common day, now it's so extreme, but to bring it to just modern day, I call it taking the bait. If you believe in dignity as I do, or any human being does. No one disagrees with this stuff, right? No one goes to work saying, I think I'm going to undignify people. I think I'm going to go against my integrity today, right? And what you will see in life is that people will take the bait, meaning someone will kind of come in and pair and kind of make a personal attack on another person behind their back, now with Slack and all these, texting and all these private things you can do. And someone who normally wouldn't maybe go down that road goes down that road and participates.
They took the bait.
That's what we mean. You took the bait. And I think it's every day, at least for me, it's a constant reminder of who I am. It's a constant reminder of integrity. Especially April. I mean, you and I teach a lot on this subject.
Yeah.
Right? So if we don't practice it,
right,
if this company doesn't practice it,
right,
then people feel that. They just feel that you guys aren't quite authentic. So I think it's a checkup from the neck up every single day.
Yeah.
For me.
A phrase that I learned a long time ago from I went to a women's conference and heard a speaker, and she said, check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Oh, I've heard that before. That's funny.
Right. And it's one of those mantras that I try to stick with every day. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. There are times, you're absolutely right. I don't think people innately make a decision in the morning, right? When they get out of bed, like, I just can't wait to get to work and just make somebody's day suck.
Right.
Like, I just don't think that
No,
that's how people
that's
innately
not their
think,
intention. I
right?
don't
That's
believe
not
that.
their intention. And life happens.
Yeah.
And sometimes people are caught off guard. Sometimes people don't rest well, right? And you're exhausted, or there's a situation that's happening continuously at work and it's causing more stress and more stress, but yet we're non-confrontational
Yes.
for the most
That's a
part.
big
And
one.
so we wait for something to get worked out, and we wait and we wait, and as we wait we grow more and more stressed, and all of a sudden something is said, or somebody says something in a private meeting, or it's on something on Facebook or whatever, and it's almost like that show, I don't know, I think it's on Oxygen or something, it's like Snapped, you snap. And I think that is something that even for myself, I can snap and take the bait.
Yes.
I can
we
get
all
caught
can.
if I'm not
it's
careful.
part of our humanness.
right?
That's what I'm
Right.
saying.
Like, we've all been there.
Yes.
Where we go, oh, shoot.
We react. We didn't respond in that moment.
Oh, yes. And so that's where I think back to, like you said, we train a lot of this. I think back to the pause. Like, the simplicity of the pause, allowing ourselves a little time to just stop and pause and make a decision with thought.
Yes.
Right? Instead of reacting. And you think, what would I, if we were just in no situation, how would I respond to this? And when you start to think about that, you go, wait a minute, that's not who I am. That's when I think of integrity, I think of, who am I?
Right.
Right? Who am I to my granddaughter? When my granddaughter calls me Nana and she thinks about me, what does she see in me?
Yeah.
That's my integrity.
Yes.
Right? And so those moments where maybe I get caught up, or gosh, I just want to put on a good face, or I don't want anyone to know that it's really as bad as it is, or whatever the case might be, right?
Yeah.
I have to be honest
Yep.
with myself and with the people that I lead. I have to be vulnerable, right? And it builds integrity. It
Yeah.
builds trust with people. Doesn't mean I don't get it. I don't get it right every time. I mean, I can take the bait,
Yep. We all can.
but we have to be aware of it.
Here's another thing that I think integrity can really take the bait. If someone is convicted on something, right, and people then talk behind their back and belittle it, that's integrity. For example, let's just say, well, you're into performing,
Yep, I
right?
am.
And you love to go out
love
and
it.
you rock the stage.
I love it.
Okay. But let's say behind your back, a family member is like, well, then she's out there rocking it again. She's never around or whatever. I mean, if they're just kind of, talking in a way that you don't get their world, it takes a lot of courage to get up there and do that. Maybe it's a bad excuse. It could be religion. It could be faith. Someone has found faith and you belittle that behind their back.
Yeah, it's not honoring
Right.
to them.
Someone found they can't stop talking about cars.
Yeah.
And you belittle it behind their back. Someone talks, getting into art, and they, it's just like, why do we go there? When you don't have to be an artist, but you don't have to talk with disrespect,
Right.
about
Well,
art, for
yeah.
example.
You don't have
I'm
to
just
shoot
throwing out
people
these
down.
ideas. Yeah.
Somebody gets a promotion at work, and you go, well, they probably got that because they just agree with everything, or whatever the case may
Hear it
be,
all the
right?
time.
You hear it
Especially-
all the time.
I hear it in high school conversations. I have high school kids.
Yep.
One. And when they talk about sports, they talk about something of an achievement. There's this little pitter patter about other people behind their back. And of course, in high school, there's likes and dislikes. I like this person, I don't like that person, right?
Right.
But I think integrity is saying, I don't have to be into what you're into, but I will always respect that you are.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Yep.
As long as it's honorable,
Yep.
no one's getting hurt.
Right.
You're not. It's great for society. I'm cool with it. Integrity.
Yep. And I don't have to do the same thing that you do.
That's right.
But I can appreciate that you do.
Yeah.
That you do what you do.
Yeah.
And I think, when I think of in the workplace and Again, people shifting around in the workplace, people maybe, being put on projects that somebody else didn't get put on, all those kinds of things. I mean, it's inevitable.
Yeah.
We're going to have some of that. But how you respond to the things that happen in your circumference, in your environment, right, to me says everything about your integrity.
Yeah.
The way that you respond to life around you. Challenges happen, right?
Yes.
Even as companies, right? Challenges happen, but how you respond to that challenge, I think, says everything about you, about your integrity. And one of the areas is when we have to make those tough decisions, right?
Yes.
And challenging with that. And I'm reminded, I coach with a lot of leaders that sit in that manager, director kind of area, right? And they have to make hard decisions that keep them up at night, But I think sometimes we forget that when the decision is made, you may not know what that leader went through in the process of making that decision, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's important to think about and just acknowledge, maybe be aware of, as leaders, there can be a real emotional and psychological challenge that comes with having to make hard decisions about your company, about people that are on your team, about just where you might have to go and what that means to the rest of your team. It can be very, very hard for leaders to do that. It doesn't mean because integrity is not easy.
It's not easy, and it's honest.
It is honest.
And I think people respect that. So no matter what crisis you might be going through, your employees, they respect the fact when you can speak truthful, factual about what's real, because that says respect. Now, I was just spoke at a conference, and there was a gentleman from Chris Godey, who's the president of one of the divisions of Maxwell Leadership. You know John Maxwell, the great John Maxwell.
Yes, absolutely.
And he talked about the 5 levels of leadership, which is a book John wrote, and I'm just going to read them to you, but I think you'll see integrity is all throughout this, okay? Except for maybe level 1. Level 1 says position rights. People follow you because they have to. You're the boss. Position 2, or level 2, is called permission relationships. People follow you because they want to. Level 3, production results. People follow you because of what you have done for the organization. Okay, so there's a respect that you've done it. I lost my spot. Here it is. It's a little fun.
It's coming.
Slip. It's coming. Wait for it. Here we go.
I feel like Toy Story. Like this is in Toy Story.
Position 3 is production results. I said that right. People follow you because of what you have done. Number 4, you're going up. This is like going up a pyramid.
Okay.
The higher the level, the closer, more integrity. People development. It's called reproduction, like reproducing good habits in others. People follow you because of what you have done for them, the impact you've made in their life. And level 5 is called pinnacle or respect. People follow you because of who you are and what you represent. And that is integrity to me. They do not waver. I may not love them. I may not have liked them in that moment.
Sure.
Actually, I may not have liked them in the moment. They're always that way. You go to that person, they'll always say, nope, consistent. Well, that's what creates love. Yeah, because I think true love, love is respect. The essence of it, worthiness. I'm not going to waver on my beliefs. And so those are the 5 levels: position, permission, production, people development, and pinnacle.
Yeah, I like it.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, I like that. That's very slick. And
it's a great reflection.
It is.
I just worked with a leader who said, now I want you to, this is just an idea I had, because fun country people fly around and have ideas. I said, you should go to your executive assistant, who knows you probably pretty well. They've been together a long time. You should give this person a list of people, 10, 12 people, maybe in your network, and have that assistant, in her opinion, with honesty and care, list where she thinks those people are on these top 5, on these 5, and where he thinks they are.
It'll be interesting to see.
It's an experiment, and he's a courageous leader. So he goes, oh, that sounds awesome. Let's try it. Let's just try it, because we can't read our label from inside our own bottle. I've always believed that, right? And so we need people to be a reflection and to remind us that it's okay to slip.
Right.
It's okay to slip, but you've got to have a mirror. You have to have people around you who care enough about you to speak the truth on integrity, and you have to be that example for them as well.
And be willing to accept.
Yeah.
Right. That art of acceptance. We have to know that the people that are coming to us, right, care about us, love us, and accept that feedback from them.
Now, when you practice integrity about handling the tough issues, right?
Yeah.
We brought up COVID earlier, right? To have straight conversations with people in a non-belittling way. Like, you can speak your belief with someone, right? Here's what we're going to do. Mm-hmm. And to be a person of integrity and dignity, you can do it in a very informational way, not a personal attack way.
Absolutely.
And that is the art, I think, of true integrity. How to coach someone into a behavior that might lead them, keeping honest people honest, might lead them down a path of not being genuine, in a way where they don't feel belittled or shamed or guilted.
Right. And that takes practice.
That takes practice.
It takes practice. And it might sound silly, but, I remember early on as a young leader, literally practicing conversations that I would have with people to make sure that I didn't come across in that way. I have a tendency, I can come across sometimes maybe too straightforward, or too just maybe I'm not quite understanding where you're coming from. But that process of practicing, I think, also helped me to recognize and realize that everybody is not the same as me. And so the way they receive it, right, is not necessarily how I would have suggested for myself to give it, right? But they receive it a certain way. And I have to get better at understanding how somebody might receive what I say as defensive or as belittling, like we said, right?
Because you can't see through their eyes.
I can't see it through their eyes. But as I practiced that, I recognized I have that as well. We do. That sometimes when people give me feedback, now it's not so much as much now, but I remember early on, when you give me feedback on something that maybe I wasn't doing correctly, or that we just wanted it done differently. I would often feel like you're treating me like a child. Why are you talking to me like I'm 3? Like I don't know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. And you start to recognize the difference. I would have to ask myself the question, hold on, am I writing the story? Is this me writing the story through my own emotions as I received it? Or is this how my leader, in this case, early on when it was you and me, you're my leader. Is it how Joe is delivering it? Sometimes it's simply taking the time to ask yourself the question, right? That I would recognize and go, nope, that wasn't Joe.
That was me.
That was me. And there were a few times when I said, nope, that was Joe. And then I need to talk about that.
Dignity check-ins. It allows us to have this dialogue.
Exactly.
To wipe out any dignity violations that may have happened over time. Let's give them a few on-ramps. Let's think that we talk about this critical conversation that so often has to happen. Think of it as a highway. Now, in Wisconsin, we had a lot of T sections, and some still exist, where traffic's at 65 miles an hour. You're on a country road coming to a T section. Well, to avoid trying to get up to 65 miles an hour from a dead stop is very difficult. So they create on-ramps.
Right.
And the DOT realized the more on-ramps we have far less accidents because I can get up to speed and then merge into the traffic. Think of that traffic as the issue. Here are some merging ways that I have found to practice my integrity in bringing up difficult conversations. Here's one. I'm not sure that you're aware of something. I'm noticing something. I don't think you're aware of it. Here's what it is. Are you aware of it? Mm-hmm. And almost 100% chance they'll say, no, I wasn't aware of it. I didn't think you were. I want to make you aware of it. Mm-hmm. Are you aware that when you do this, this is how people receive that? Mm-hmm. You know, and then you can start giving examples. Help me understand where you're coming from. Yep. Some rumble language from Brene Brown.
Absolutely.
Walk me through that.
Walk me through that. That's one of mine. That's one of mine. I may not be understanding where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Help me understand where you're coming from. You know, that's a big one for me. I don't want to make a big assumption. I don't want to think it's this. Help me understand where you're coming from.
Seek to understand instead of to talk. Mm-hmm. Right? And so that rumble language, these on-ramps, you can memorize your own. Just go with one. Maybe it's help me understand. That's what you're going to always go to, or to walk me through that. Or the story I'm making up is this. Is that true? Right? Because that's a story I'm making up.
Yep.
But that could be completely off base here, right? Put the onus on to make it safe. And then next time is a great thing. Next time you do that, perhaps you should try this. Because next time always provides hope in how you coach people. So remember, you're always the coach. The old dictator model is dead.
Yep, it's gone.
And when it comes to leading with dignity, it is it's like Monsters, Inc. We get more energy from laughter than we do with screams. If you ever saw that movie.
One of my favorites.
I love Monsters, Inc. It's great. Mm-hmm. But we can get more with dignity than we will with dictatorship.
Yeah, absolutely.
And though it's easy to just say, rah, it's easy for some people just to let you have it. And they call that, you lack soft skills. Those are hard skills to practice dignity on a day-to-day basis. I don't care who you are. The biggest challenge with communication, the biggest challenge with leaders is not the stuff. They're usually pretty good at knowing how to read spreadsheets and doing the stuff that they're in charge of. But show me someone who has the emotional intelligence and the wherewithal to practice integrity and dignity when they communicate. Those are the people that are helping grow industry and take people to a whole new level. And isn't that what leadership is all about? The ability to take someone from this level to this level. And you can only coach where your lid is at.
That's right.
So you've got to always learn yourself. And if you're going to lead, you got to read, because we're green and growing, right? We can't be ripe and rotting.
I think that's the first time I ever heard you say that.
Really? Oh, I love that. I believe
so.
that, and I've just got reminded I got to get myself back into a great leadership book. And I have the latest one from Maxwell. I don't have the title memorized, but it was a gift from the organization from Chris. So thank you, Chris, for that gift. And that's my next book I'm diving into.
That's very cool. And, I have had the pleasure of teaching and training through courses, of course, with lots of the companies that we work with. And those leaders, especially those middle leaders, when we talk about leading and managing and how you balance between those two things, which we are required to do both as leaders in today's world, certainly, most of them are not asking me questions that have to do with, I just want to get really good at how to manage my spreadsheet. They're not. They're just not asking it.
Yeah.
But what they are asking is, I have to figure out a way to balance this idea of my people and leading my people and the requirement or the expectation that is on me for many of these managing things that I have to do, because I really do want to be with my people.
Yeah.
And spending time with my people. And so great leaders continue to find that balance and that ebb and flow between those things you got to get done and the people
that get it done. You got to lead people, you manage tasks. Everyone, thank you for tuning in on this episode. This is one of 4 series. We're going to see you next time on another Dignity Dialogue. Thanks for watching.
See ya.
This has been the Dignity Dialogue with Joe Kiedinger. Talk at you later.